There's no one-size-fits-all way to build back trust.
Right.
It is all about putting marbles back in the jar.
Yeah.
But you got to get the jar back first, which means you got both people need to be willing to do a lot of uncomfortable work that's going to require a lot of leaving your ego behind. On the surface sounds simple, it's really, really challenging. And because there's no simple one way of doing it, we couldn't give you 5 easy steps to rebuild trust.
It doesn't exist, and anyone who tells you it does is
Trying to
sell you something.
You've built the business, you're crushing it in your career, you've scaled your impact, but are you winning at home?
Welcome to the 200% Marriage Podcast. We're Meredith and Craig, and we're here to help you kill that domestic drag and turn your partner into your most elite teammate.
From Russian taxi mishaps to hailstorms on the summit, we're sharing the raw and real stories and tactical drills you need to move out of roommateville and into your 200% life.
So grab your gear. It's time to build an unstoppable team. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the 200% Marriage Podcast with Meredith and Craig. I know you've been following along, waiting with bated breath every week as we roll through this book, the 200% Marriage, your winning playbook to be an unstoppable team. We're reading each chapter that we wrote. Chapter 25 today. Mayor's reading it. Let's go.
Chapter 25, Big Trust Energy. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. Ernest Hemingway. Trust is a foundational component required for any team to become unstoppable. So we're wrapping this section of the book, The Commitment to Your Team, with some big trust energy. Now, you might assume the trust chapter in a book on marriage to be a big, heavy, packed with research, stories, and advice. That would typically be a reasonable assumption if this were a typical relationship book. But as you've noticed, this isn't that book. See, we believe that trust isn't something you build in a vacuum. As our friend Greg says, trust is nothing more than giving someone the power to hurt you. Here's the twist. Contrary to popular belief, trust isn't earned. Trust is given. Reread that definition again. Trust is nothing more than giving someone the power to hurt you. Notice the word giving in there. Your teammate doesn't earn the right to hurt you. You hand that power over willingly. Trust is given first, then strengthened through the decisions, actions, strategies, concepts, and skills we've been discussing in this book. Trust strengthens when you fill your teammate's love account. Trust strengthens when you keep the promises you make to yourself and to them. Trust strengthens when you do what you say you'll do. Trust strengthens when you're brave enough to be vulnerable. Trust strengthens when you check in daily. Trust strengthens when you show up and participate in your weekly marriage meeting. Trust strengthens when you create time for your teammate without phones, laptops, or distractions. Trust strengthens when you put your teammate first, yes, even before your kids. Trust strengthens when you take 100% responsibility. Trust strengthens when you lead with curiosity, empathy, and compassion, rather than judgment or assumption. Trust strengthens when you give the benefit of the doubt. Trust strengthens when you stop keeping score. Trust strengthens when you consistently show up, put the team first, and be a great teammate. Trust is given, and it's strengthened through consistent actions, follow through, and showing up for each other over time. It can also be broken the same way, through consistent action over time. Most of us have heard that trust can be broken in an instant with one careless or hurtful decision, and that's true. Most of us try to avoid those big trust-breaking moves. But here's the myth-busting part. It's not the only way trust is broken. Trust can also be chipped away little by little. Death by 1,000 cuts applies to trust too. You break trust when you don't show up when you say you will, when you don't get home when you promised, when you don't call when you're late, or don't follow through on your word. Neglecting the everyday actions that strengthen trust eventually erodes it. Once trust is broken, it's hard, but not impossible, to rebuild. It takes two people, both willing to do the work, to set aside their egos and rebuild together. The question we get most often, how do you rebuild trust after it breaks? Unfortunately, there's no neat 5 easy steps answer. The truth is, it depends. It depends on how trust was broken. It depends on the needs and experiences of the two people involved. Rebuilding trust is deeply emotional and takes courage, but it can be done if you're both willing. Whole books have been written on how to rebuild trust, many of them, actually. And while those books can be helpful, rebuilding trust isn't just theory, it's lived. And in real life, it's infinitely easier. Note, easier, not easy, with expert guidance. If you're in a place where trust has been broken, please reach out to us at the200percentmarriage.com/contact us. We'll walk you through it. You don't have to do this alone. Now, if trust hasn't been broken in your relationship and you want to continue to strengthen it, keep reading. This part may sound wrong, or too simple, or like it can't possibly work, but stick with us. Strengthening trust requires a decision. Boom, that's it. You have to decide to trust your teammate. You have to decide to be trustworthy. It's a choice you make daily, actually, many times every day. We had clients who weren't struggling financially, but were struggling with trust around money. He told us he couldn't trust her with financial decisions because of the financial decisions she'd made in the past. It was painful for him to admit. You could see he wanted to trust her. He desperately wanted to know how to trust her. For context, they had been doing a lot of personal growth, both individually and as a couple. They weren't the same people or the same couple they had been even a year earlier. In their case, the way forward wasn't about her earning back trust. The only way for him to trust her with their finances was clear. He had to give it to her, to willingly hand over to her the power to hurt him, to decide to trust. Simple, but not easy. He had to relinquish control and allow her to make some of the family's financial decisions. And he did. And their relationship has never been better. They've been together for almost 20 years. And they will tell you they have never had more trust, been more connected, or been happier than they are today. All because of a decision. And the hard work that goes along with those simple decisions. Let's bring back the football team analogy because why not? The quarterback has to trust his offensive line, those big beefy dudes in front, to protect him long enough to throw the ball. He's defenseless and vulnerable while he's preparing to pass. Then he has to trust his receiver to catch the ball, even with defenders swarming all around him trying to intercept that ball. Without all that trust, no touchdowns. Without touchdowns, no wins. Without wins, that team stinks. No one wants to be on a team that stinks. You have to trust your teammate. You have to decide to trust your teammate. You have to give your teammate the power to hurt you. Your entire world will change when you trust your teammate, because that's when you start winning together. And winning is fun. Speaking of fun, Craig is going to take you through the next commitment, the commitment to fun and adventure.
Boom. Section 4, Chapter 25. In the books.
Almost forgot the bookmark.
Don't do that, McKay. Well, luckily we've got a digital bookmark going.
That's true.
This recording would help us remember
Immensely.
where we are. Big trust energy. I like
I
the
love
quote.
the title of this chapter. By the
Yeah,
way.
I do too. But I also like the quote for this chapter, the Ernest Hemingway quote. I'm gonna butcher it. The best way to trust someone is to trust them or something.
The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them.
Yeah. It goes hand in hand with this whole chapter. It's a perfect quote. I just love that quote because a lot of time, like the example you gave towards the end of the chapter is like when trust is broken, how do we get it? How do we get it back? Like the financial decisions that she's made in the past have been terrible, and I want to trust her with money and financial decisions, but I just can't. Well, you can. You just have. It's not easy, but you just hand the trust to her.
I remember so clearly him saying, "But how? How do I trust her?" I was like, "You just do. You give her the power. You let her make the decisions.
You just give her the card and give her the power to make the decisions."
And I think an important caveat for this chapter is that obviously this is a marriage book, right? Like we're talking about this relationship. Most all of the concepts in this book apply to any relationship.
Yeah. The sex stuff, maybe.
For sure. Let's keep that one really narrowly focused. An interesting concept idea for this chapter is, yes, no matter who you're deciding to trust, you're giving them the power to hurt you.
Yeah.
It's a sliding scale. In a marriage, you're giving them full power.
Yeah.
In another relationship, a different
You give it's relationship appropriate level of trust.
Right. Brene Brown talks about it as putting marbles in a jar. You decide to trust someone with something small.
Yeah.
And they hold your trust. So you put marbles in the jar when they maintain your trust. If they don't, the marbles come out.
Yeah.
And when something big happens and you need to share it with someone, you look around at whose jar is full of marbles, because you've been trusting them with bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger things. In a marriage, you've decided to tie your future to someone else's future forever. That's the decision you've made, to be on the same team. We're going to win together. We're going to do life together. In that relationship, in that instance, in that circumstance, you've just got to hand over the trust, the power to hurt you.
Well, because you wouldn't have gotten married if they didn't have a jar of marbles in front of them.
Correct.
So it started
You
out.
already built the jar.
It started out as a regular, relationship, like say an employer and an employee. Mm-hmm. You're not going to hand over the keys to your business to your first employee right out of the gates.
Definitely not.
Right? They haven't,
put any marbles in the jar.
They haven't like shown that they're capable of doing something with the trust that you've handed them on the lower scale. Mm-hmm. So you give them a little bit. A credit card with a limit that they show that they can spend appropriately, and then they get maybe something else, and then whatever, it graduates. And then the same thing in your relationship with the person that you end up marrying. First, you share something.
Trust them with the fact that you don't like Star Wars.
You share something, exactly. You share that with them, and then it's like, okay, they didn't make fun of me, they didn't belittle me, they held that. Okay.
Maybe eventually I tell them I have fear of abandonment. They get a bigger marble.
Here's another marble. It's a big marble. Eventually, they have a jar of marbles, and you're like, okay, this is a person that I know I can trust with my heart, my vulnerabilities. Let's take this to the next level. You get married, and now you carry on. But when they break that trust,
marbles come out of the jar.
Marbles are out of the jar, and you don't want an empty jar in front of you.
Mm-hmm. In the event of a big break of trust, whether that's compound interest on little breaks over time that creates an untenable trust situation in a relationship, or it's a big chasm of breakage of trust from one big thing. Either way, when you're dealing with an empty jar of marbles with the person you decide to spend your life with, it's a scary fucking place to be.
Well, if you think about it from the jar of marbles perspective, like let's say like infidelity is a big trust breaking move.
The jar. The marbles are gone.
Literally the jar. You dumped it, you shattered it, marbles everywhere, jar's broken. Mm-hmm. You got to get a new jar, and then you got to
start placing marbles back in.
Right. But every time you don't show up, you've taken a marble out. Mm-hmm. Every time you say something and you don't follow through, you take a marble out. And eventually over time, you do enough of that, the jar also becomes empty. And then you've got nothing left but an empty jar, and then you do something else to break trust. Now you've broken the jar. Mm-hmm. You end up in the same place. Mm-hmm. It just takes longer to get there. Mm-hmm. If you're not undoing all the marbles.
And honestly, I'm not sure which one is harder to come back from. The constant removal of trust till there's nothing left, or the instant break.
Yeah, because
they're both really hard.
Well, one happens, it's more acute, but it's big, and it's a bigger, more emotional situation, whereas a full jar of marbles that you it's just consistently over time, until it becomes the only thing that you remember about this person, is that they're just consistently don't show up for me. And so it depends on, I think, and then we talk about it in the book, it really just depends on who's involved and what was involved. Was it, small little tiny things over time that we can, deal with, or were medium-sized things consistently over time, or was it one big thing and a lot of little things? Like, it just depends on the situation.
Which is why there's no one-size-fits-all way to build back trust.
Right.
It is all about putting marbles back in the jar.
Yeah.
But you gotta get the jar back first, which means both people need to be willing to do a lot of uncomfortable work that's going to require a lot of leaving your ego behind. And that's it's on the surface sounds simple. It's really, really challenging. And because there's no simple one way of doing it, we couldn't give you 5 easy steps to rebuild trust.
It doesn't exist. And anyone who tells you it does is trying to sell you something. If you do have a situation where trust is not easy for you, broken, then yeah, reach out. We would love to hear your situation and help you get a jar and fill it back up with some marbles. It's a great analogy though, the marble jars.
I agree. She's a badass. Um, the trust being given, not earned, is counter to what I was conditioned and learned growing up.
I think most people, right?
I remember starting one of my corporate jobs when I switched roles in the company and went over into the newer role towards the end. My new boss said to me, like, you have my full trust. Like, you could lose it. So
But you start
you
off
start off
with a full
with a full jar
jar
of
of marbles.
marbles. Like I fully trust. I hired you for a reason. Here's my trust. I've given you my trust. And I remember thinking, huh, that's different.
But when you think about it, have you ever had a boss that you felt more connected with, or was a
No.
better boss? Like she was a great boss,
She was a
right?
great boss. Yeah.
And I think that she set the foundation when she said that to you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but I seem to recall T-shirts when I was a kid of like trust is earned, like earned, never. Maybe it wasn't trust specifically, but earned, never given. And so it like I think that it was like
It's
a
a
work.
slogan.
It's like a
Yeah.
workout thing, I think, or like basketball or something. But I think it just across everything, it was kind of like
That's a
the
default
mentality
approach. Yeah.
of like it's you earned, never. Everything is earned, never given, including trust. I think similar to you, that was my default setting. It was a mindset shift to be like, well, no, it's actually you just you hand it over willingly. It's the only way it works. It's the only way, whether you know you can, to Ernest Hemingway's quote, the only way you know if you can trust someone is to trust them.
Yeah.
If you trust them with the little things, like we talked about, and they consistently show up and show you that that was a good investment, then you give them more and more and more. If they don't, then you pull away and you don't have a relationship with them.
I'm just realizing I had another boss too.
The opposite?
No, similar. It goes along with the jar of marbles. I fucked up. I made a mistake. And like she explicitly said, make sure you double check this one thing because this person is a pain in the ass to deal with. And I did double check. I triple checked, but then I attached the wrong document. And so I double checked the wrong thing. I needed to double check all the things. And so I sent the wrong document and of course the receiver exploded because it was an old version. And I remember being scared shitless to go into my boss's office and take 100% responsibility that I made a mistake and now we've got a squeaky wheel over here that's got a major problem with us. And I went in and I was like, oh, this sucks. Because my perfectionism, my people pleasing, all the things, I was feeling completely useless. And I was like, she's going to be pissed at me. And she was like, mistakes happen. You've built up enough trust in the account that
It was a mistake.
it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Like if I was brand new and had not put some marbles in the jar, delivered, come
It
through,
might have broken the jar.
it might have broken the jar.
But all it did was take a marble out of the jar.
Correct. Yeah.
And then
I
just
never
worked hard to put more marbles back in the jar.
correct.
Yeah.
And like we had a blip or two over the many years, but by and large we had a fantastic relationship. I got along great with her, and I never thought about it from the jar of marbles trust perspective before, but it really makes sense.
In the second edition of this book, maybe we reference the jar of marbles in the book. Maybe we introduce that
Yeah.
concept into
good
the
idea.
book because
I'll
I think
get
it is
this
it is a good analogy to kind of a visual for people who are more visual to have that kind of comparison. Because I do think that trust it's a really hard
concept
for people to wrap their brain around with like, giving it and earning it
Why I
and
love Greg's definition so much. It's just giving someone the power to hurt you.
yeah.
That makes it so simple.
It's the simplest definition of trust
Ever heard.
I've heard, and it's my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
And it's obviously why we reference it. And yeah, so if you're struggling with trusting someone, just fucking trust them. And
If you're struggling to do that, reach out. We'll help.
that is a wrap on section 4, which was the commitment to the team. And so now we're moving into part 5. I think we're calling it section, but it's part 5.
Part 5.
Part 5 and that's commitment to fun, which
And adventure.
commitment to fun and adventure. And it's going to get very fun and very adventurous. If you thought the sarcasm and the humor was, present in the first half of the book, 2/3 of the book, wait until you get to this part.
And
Because
you're taking the lead on this part. Look out.
We dial up the sarcasm. We dial up the humor. It's going to be a fun and adventurous ride. So join us next week for chapter 26. I believe it is. Yep. Chapter 26, Hide the Penis. Are we at the sex chapter? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Look, knowing the strategy is one thing. Executing it in the trenches of daily life is another. If you're ready to stop listening and start doing, we have a challenge for you.
It's the 33-day Unstoppable Team Challenge. 33 days of micro drills delivered right to your inbox for just $33. It's designed to snap you out of roommateville and get you back into alignment.
Go to the200percentmarriage.com/challenge and take the first step toward your 200% life. Your team is worth the investment.